Hello and welcome to the Rays of Hope program brought to you by the Purchase Area Sexual Assault and Child Advocacy Center. I'm your host today, Mary Foley, and I'm so glad that you've joined us. This is perhaps one of my most favorite programs that we bring to you every year, and it's a chance for you to meet the PASAC staff in its entirety and for us to be able to talk about something that we all know very well, and that is the message of hope. And so without any further delay, I'd like to introduce some of the staff to you right now who are going to share their thoughts, their feelings, and their views of hope and share that with you today. So welcome to the three of you. You're the first segment. So we have Serena, Brittain, Angie York, and Macie Fortner. So I'm going to let you just tell what you do at the center, and then we're going to get right to the content today, because I know you all have brought some things with you to share. So Serena, we're going to start with you. What do you do at the Purchase Area Sexual Assault and Child Advocacy Center?
I am a bachelor's level social work intern, and what I do right now at the center is that I'm doing an education rotation where I work with kids basically, mostly in the middle schools, but also in high school and elementary school.
And you just finished an advocacy rotation, and
Yes.
you pretty much do everything we ask you, so glad to have you with us today. Angie.
I'm Angie York, and I am Director of Education at the Center and a prevention specialist. I know you've heard me talk about Green Dot before. That's our prevention program.
So welcome, Macie.
I'm an educator. I go into schools and I teach prevention lessons, mostly in elementary schools. And believe it or not, I go to senior citizens organizations too.
Well, it's wonderful to have you. And so I know when we were talking, just getting ready for the program, you had shared some different things that you do in the elementary classrooms that I can't wait for you to share with the group. So I know the audience will understand exactly why we have you in the elementary school. So welcome to all three of you. Well, this is the time of year when we get to talk about maybe not the problem of child sexual abuse or the need for prevention programming or the need for volunteers. All of those things remain unchanged today. We need all of those things, and child sexual abuse and sexual assault and victimization, it's all still a problem. But the focus of today is hope, and what gives you hope throughout the year, both personally and professionally, and how that plays out in your everyday job. And so you all have taken some time to prepare some things, and so I'd just like to get right to that. So Angie, we said we were going to start with you today, so tell us what you have.
Okay, and I'd like to start by saying Merry Christmas to everybody.
Thank you.
And I want to go back to the beginning of sort of when I started this journey working with the center. And when I came to the center really not knowing anything about sexual assault, sexual abuse, child abuse, and I'm the kind of person who has to relate something new to something I already know how to do. And one of the things that I've loved to do for years is sew. I love to sew, I love to make clothes, and I spend a lot of time working on quilting projects. And we actually have incorporated a quilting project into the center now. We're actually doing a fundraiser where we're having some clients create quilt squares, and we're going to put those together and auction that off. And so with all that fresh on my mind, I started to think about how, for me, when I'm making a quilt, how that is parallel with the journey that a victim might take from beginning to end, from the time they were assaulted to when we send them out of our doors, hopefully with everything put back together, their life back on track and ready to go. And so for me, when I'm making a quilt, sometimes it's frustrating, sometimes it's hard to do. I might be excited in the beginning and I start the project and then toss it away and not look at it again for 2 or 3 years.
Right.
And for me, the journey for a victim is like that. A lot of times our victims don't come to us right after they were attacked. They come to us 20 years later. And so I think there is a parallel there. So what I did was actually write a poem, and it explains a little bit about what it's like on the journey of making a quilt and what it's like the journey of coming from victim to a healed person ready to walk back into the community.
That's wonderful.
So
I can't wait to hear it.
The poem is called A Quilting Journey. What begins as a whole is cut into pieces. You're slashed and you're torn and the pain rarely ceases. After a while you're tossed to the side, alone and forgotten and stripped of your pride. Sometimes in months or sometimes in years, you return to the pieces and you put away your fears. As time goes by and wounds begin to heal, cuts are resewn and the end of the journey you feel. Out of the madness and the pieces we see, a beautiful quilt and freedom return to me. So my hope for everyone this season is that if there are things that have torn you apart, things that are, feel like they've cut you in two, that you can pull that together, put away your fears, come to us, ask us for help, let us help you, and hope that you can begin that journey and begin to put yourself back together.
That's beautiful. Thank you very much. Macie, you work in the prevention education department, like I said, with the elementary kids and as needed in other programming places. What brings you hope this season?
I hope that we can change the statistics that we now have about child abuse and adult abuse as well. But the lessons that I am privileged to teach are all about hope. We're hoping that we can empower children. To me, the definition of hope is the belief that things will be on a positive plane. Even a mundane hope like, what will I do today, at home? What will I do today at home? I have a hope that it'll be something positive. Even clean the refrigerator. But on a higher plane, you hope that your interaction with others will be a positive one, that your influence for others they can see it as a positive thing, and that you can give them some hope as well. We all have certain behaviors that we are satisfied with and some that we hope to change. And as I go into a school as part of my PASAC job, I have a hope that I can empower these children, first of all, to know what their private parts of their body are, and that they have a right to protect those parts. I have a hope even for the bullies, because we've learned that bullying is the first step of sexual abuse. So I don't think a bully has to be a bully. I tell them there are no little baby bullies. Behavior is a choice. And I try to let the kids know that if they are being bullied, they need to get help. If they are a bully, then they can change that as well. But children need the help of an adult. And I have the hope that we will empower the children with information, and that with caring adults, a real change can be brought about. Every day that I go into a school, I'm hopeful that the children will gain enough knowledge that they'll be able to say no in certain situations. And one of my main hopes is that they will watch out for each other. That, they won't be just a bystander watching something happen and allowing it to happen, but they'll be empowered to stand up and to do something, or even just to say something can make a difference. But I try to let them know too, a bully can be a leader. Some of the same characteristics of a bully are in leaders. They like attention. So I want to encourage us to all make the changes that we need to make this world a better place.
Well, and that is hope. I mean, I think when you have an opportunity to deposit into the future generation, you are certainly on the cutting edge of, I think, what hope would be. And before we leave, and you can see why we have her in elementary school, she makes me so excited just to talk about it, but could you share your little poem about bullies, since you've talked a little bit about that? I want the parents watching to hear. Well,
the lessons could be negative, but I don't want the children to have a negative experience. I want it to be a positive experience. So I've come up with some little interactive rhymes. So when I go into a classroom, and if the lesson is on bullying, then I tell them to take a look at me right off the bat. I say, what do you see? Do you see a grandmother, or do you see a bully? Well, they're going to say grandmother. And I say, oh yes, that's what I am. But I could be a bully. And that leads to the information that I can give them about how to identify a bully and how to react to a bully, or how to change if they are a bully. But this little rhyme, I say, do I want to be a bully? No way. I'll watch what I do, and I'll watch what I say.
And that's certainly, if everybody did just that this holiday season, that would be hope. Watch what we do, watch what we say. Thank you, Macie. Serena, talk to me about what you have brought for us today.
Well, I brought a poem that I was just going to share, and then I thought I would talk about what it means to me. It's called I Shall Be Glad, and it's by Grace Noel Crowell. And it goes, if I can put new hope within the heart of one who has lost hope, if I can help a brother up some difficult long slope that seems too steep for tired feet to go, if I can help him climb into the light upon the hill's far crest, I shall begrudge no time or strength that I spend, for well I know how great may be his need. If I can help through any darkened hour, I shall be glad indeed. For I recall how often I have been distressed, distraught, dismayed, and hands have reached to help, and voices called that kept me unafraid. If I can share this help that I have had, God knows I shall be glad. So,
What drew you to that poem?
it's just, to me, I thought it really talked about hope and how people can provide hope for others this holiday season, and how some people, we see people every day who are struggling with things that are going on in their life, and not just in the context of sexual assault, but in lots of different situations. There are people who are struggling this holiday season, and the one thing that may help them to have a better outcome this season, and have a better season, that you could be that one person that does that. So I think it's important for everyone to remember that they can be the hope for someone else.
I think that was very well said, and on that note, we are going to wrap up this segment. Again, Serena, Angie, Macie, thank you so much for sharing your hope with me, for sharing your hope with the viewer. Thank you for what you do day in and day out to bring hope to the community and for the message of hope. And I think between watching what you do and watching what you say, and being willing to come forward and find the change that you perhaps need this holiday season, and remembering most of all that you are an agent of hope and can be an agent of hope, is certainly a message of hope for this particular program. So thank you so much, and we will be right back. Hello and welcome back to the Rays of Hope program. This is our time of year when we reflect on the year's activities and the season of hope. And so you're getting to meet the staff of the Purchase Area Sexual Assault and Child Advocacy Center. And so we have a new staff sitting before me right now. This is Barbara Duber, Kamie York, and Lynn Russell. So welcome to the three of you. I'd like to just let you take just a brief moment just to talk about, just tell the viewer what you do at the center. So Lynn, we'll start with you.
I am the Director of Volunteers, which means I recruit and train volunteers. And I also am the Medical Unit Coordinator for the Child Advocacy Center.
And so the medical unit is where we do specialized child sexual abuse exams and collect forensic evidence for law enforcement. So
I'm the liaison basically between doctors, law enforcement, clients, setting up appointments, things like that.
Okay, well welcome, glad to have you. Kamie.
Hi, I'm the accountant at the center. I work with the payroll, with budgeting, and with the financial statements, and I'm the newest member of the staff.
You're the newest member, so welcome. Barbara.
I am the office manager. I make all the appointments and do all the new intakes for new clients. Little babysitting.
A lot of babysitting.
Shopping for the center. Keep us stocked up with things that we need.
So you are the usually the meet and greet for clients that now refer to the center as Barbara's house. So,
yes.
So that says a lot. So welcome. Well, this is, like I said at the beginning, this is one of my most favorite programs that we do because normally when we do these programs, we are doing a topical focus. We're either talking about the scope of the problem or the need for volunteers, but viewers don't get to often see the administrative staff, what we would consider behind the scenes, but integral parts of what we do. So it's so exciting for me to introduce you to the viewer. So let's start, Lynn, let's just start with you. What brings you hope, or what have you brought to share with the viewer today?
Okay, most of the time what's brought me hope this year is seeing a client that comes to us when she's been attacked, and she's traumatized, and basically she comes through it and comes out what I call on the other side. And comes through it, her hope is restored, yet she wants to pay forward, if you will, to be that source of hope for someone else.
I see.
So then they come step forward and want to volunteer.
Okay.
And I think that is just such an inspiration to me. But what I have this is from someone, and it talks about basically the things they feel when they first come. You know, they're shocked, they're frightened, they feel they've been robbed, dazed and confused. Then of course eventually it begins to believe. They have faith in that hope that we try to instill in them. And then their philosophy basically is to never give up hope. And to me that is just the essence of what we need to do, is never give up hope.
Right.
So when you see a client come from one end to the other and step forward and to volunteer, it's just, I think it's an amazing thing,
Well,
an amazing
it's full
source
circle,
of hope.
right? It's full circle from, like you're showing on the paper, really that cycle of the disbelief and the pain to the choice to believe, and then to give back out of that belief.
Right, and if they can do it, anyone can be a source of hope. Like in the other segment, I believe someone mentioned that just in this holiday season, even if it's not sexual assault, you can be a source of hope just by greeting someone, or just being nice to them, saying Merry Christmas,
Right.
something along those lines.
Right. Well, thank you so much for what you do at the center. When you say that you recruit and train the volunteers, you're going out and you are, in essence, giving and challenging and hoping to create that sense of responsibility for us to provide hope to others. So thank you for what you shared. Kamie, let's start with you. You say you're the newest member of the team, and so I'm very interested to hear what this has been like for you and what hope is for you this holiday season.
Okay, well, I came here in the spring. I had lost my job due to the economy, and the center became like a new sense of hope, and gave me a new sense of purpose. And when I came here, I thought, well, my primary responsibilities naturally, would be to provide accountability for the center, and to make sure that we're being good stewards of our funding that we're given, through the state and federal grants and through local United Ways. And I thought, I feel very confident that I can do that. But then I met with you, Mary, and you said, we're a small staff, and that besides my accounting duties, that you were going to ask me to give more of myself, and you were going to ask me to get training from Lynn, to be a volunteer, and to be able to answer the telephone and talk to our clients, and maybe greet someone at the door to help Barbara, and go out in the community and give information about our center, and maybe even answer the phone and take one of those crisis calls and meet someone at the hospital. And to be quite honest, I thought, oh no, I came here to do accounting. I just don't know how I can do that. And I decided that I would try. And I took a little bit of training from Lynn. I don't think we're all the way finished, to be able to answer the phone. And then last week, the clinical staff was gone to Frankfurt, and I thought, well, I might get my chance. I might get my chance to talk to a client or to help someone. And Barbara said we were going to have a little boy come in, and that she might need my help. And so I thought, okay, how am I going to do this? So I went to the lobby and I met the little boy, and he was so brave, and he could communicate so well. And we played Candyland, and he beat me twice. I didn't let him. He beat me twice. And he asked me if I would be his best friend. And I thought, wow. Here I was trying to figure out how I was going to go out there and give him hope, and he gave me hope instead. And so I thought, you know what? It's not such a hard job, because we're the ones that get the blessing. And sorry.
No, there's no apology. That's what this program is about.
Sorry. But I think I was looking at it wrong. I was looking at that the need was so great, and that the abuse was so devastating, and that my abilities were so limited, and that our resources were so limited. And I didn't look at it like we just have to be willing. We just go and answer the door, answer the phone, and we take it one person at a time, and we meet the needs of that one person, that one small little boy. And I have this on my desk that I keep to remind me of that. It talks about the impact of one life, and it's like a ripple effect. It says, it's by Roy Lesson. It says, when a stone is dropped into a lake, it quickly disappears from sight, but its impact leaves behind a series of ripples that broaden and reach across the water. In the same way, the impact of one life will leave behind an influence for good that will reach the lives of many others. And so what that means to me is that we can give hope one person at a time, and then that person can give hope to someone else, and it's like the ripple effect. And we do that just one person at a time.
Thank you very much. I'm certainly glad you're on our team, and I'm glad that you see it the way that you see it, because I think you're exactly right. Thank you. Barbara.
Well, I think what they've said, you know, we are kind of behind the scenes somewhat, but we get wrapped up in, you know, now Kamie's going to think about this little boy, you know, and try and watch his progress, and so even though we're behind the scenes, we get caught up in it. We have hope for especially the little ones, you know, and we see how it works.
Well, and you're sitting, as I say every day and every year on this program, because I believe it to be true. You're sitting in a place where, as you say, we all are, but you specifically are sitting in that place where you do those initial intakes, and they come in, and then you see them go into session, and then you see them come out, whether they be kids, teenagers, adults. You see them go in, and then you see them go out. You see them go in, you see them go out. And you see this journey, sort of this transformation, even though you're not a privy to what's going on inside of that session, you see sort of that journey from the beginning to the middle to the end. What is that like?
Well, it's wonderful to watch, and you can tell sometimes some people will start to dress different. Their whole look will change. That would be
change their tone of voice on the phone when you
yes.
answer anymore.
They do. They start to feel comfortable with us, and you know, you can tell by seeing some of the children they just take over when they come in.
Right. Because they feel comfortable in that space. And I'll tell you, and I think that either one of you can attest to this, you know, our center, for those viewers who may never have even seen the outside of our center, we're located in Paducah, and it's kind of divided into two wings. We've got the administrative wing and the clinical wing, and so you're right there in the middle, sort of the arm that stretches between both. And it is not uncommon for we in the administrative end to hear a little one come in and squeal, "Miss Barbara," you know, and all of this, you know, commotion as you give them their snack and as you sort of get them settled. And we have reflected as a staff and as a group in staff meeting what that's like to hear that even though they're coming to deal with a very difficult, devastating thing, and even though that particular part is not fun initially, the staff as a whole does a very good job of creating an environment that they look forward to coming, to getting hope, to getting help, to getting support.
And they do.
Barbara, you usually have some sort of word of wisdom or poem or something to share with us.
I have quotes today. You know, we're trying to define hope, and it's hard to define. So I brought some quotes this time.
Okay.
I like this one. Hope is such a bait, it covers any hook. Hope is faith holding out its hand in the dark. I like that. I think that pertains to us.
What about that do you like?
Well, we need that. We need that someone else holding out a hand to us. Most of us at one time or another. Hope is not a dream, but a way of making dreams become reality. Oh, I like this too. Reality is wrong. Dreams are for real.
What about that do you like?
Well, you know, the harshness of what we deal with, and then the hope that we have. Let's let the dreams be the real part. And hope is the pillar that holds up the world.
Well, and I think that many times, like many of you have already referenced this holiday season, whether it's sexual abuse or it's economic hardship or it's health issues or whatever, there are times when our world sees a bit of an earthquake, sees a bit of a storm, if you would. And so when we know that we have a pillar of hope, whether that's the Purchase Area Sexual Assault and Child Advocacy Center, whether that's our own family or support system, whether that's meeting a new life that touches us in a way that we did not expect, that is hope. And I truly do believe that each and every one of you and each and every viewer have hope to give. And so it's amazing for me to hear your messages and the things that you see. Any final thoughts that anybody would like to add or share, or are you all, have you said your piece so far?
I was just thinking, we quote statistics when we go out and stuff. But with us, right, the way things are in the center, those are just, to people, they're just numbers. But when you get out and help, there's a face to that number. And I think even if you can just help one person through it, then that is just a source of hope that can go on and pass on from others to others.
Thank you. I think you're right. I think they do become real and can become real to anyone that engages another life to help them along. Thank you so much for being a part of this particular program. It's one of my favorites for folks to get to meet you all, who I'm so proud of and honored to work with, but also for us to be able to share our hope. So Barbara, Kamie, Lynn, thank you for what you do behind the scenes, because if you weren't there, the center would not be able to operate as effectively and efficiently. So thank you. And thank you for remaining with us as we take our journey of hope. We reflect on the season of hope. We still have 2 more segments, so please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the Rays of Hope program, brought to you by the Purchase Area Sexual Assault and Child Advocacy Center. It is the program where we reflect on the year and we reflect on hope, because at the center we are dedicated to providing rays of hope every day. And so thank you so much for staying with us. It's a wonderful time for you to meet the staff in its entirety of the center. And so we have 3 new guests with us for this segment. So I would like to welcome you all on board, Taylor, LeAnne, and Amberly. So I'm going to let you just tell the viewer what you do at the center. Amberly, we'll start with you.
Yes, I'm Amberly. I'm the victim and family advocate, and basically I help families through the criminal justice system at all phases of that, and just provide education and support and resources to victims and their families.
Thank you. LeAnne.
I'm a therapist at the center, and I work out of the Paducah and Mayfield office, and I'm also the self-defense instructor as well.
Thank you. And that program is called RAD. I think it
Yes.
shows up under your name, so
Yes.
the self-defense instructor. Thank you. And Taylor.
I'm Taylor. I'm the intern, one of the interns here at PASAC, and I do a little bit of everything. As far as, making copies, I've done education going to the middle schools and presenting programs, and now I'm on the advocacy team, going to court with Amberly and helping her out with forensic interviews and things like that. But anything that anybody needs around the office, I help out with that.
That is certainly the truth. So we're glad to have you as well. So your time with us is almost over. You will be finishing up in just a few days.
Yes.
And so the entire intern, we met one of the other interns this segment prior, so we are certainly going to miss you guys for sure. Well, this is the time of year when we don't necessarily focus on any one topic, but we focus on just the overall arching theme of hope. And so I know each of you, because of the various disciplines that you're in and what you do day in and day out, it's not going to be stagnant or concrete. It's going to be very varied. And so I'd like to hear what hope means to you and what all goes into that message that you have either given and or received throughout the year. So who would like to start? Not everybody at once. Amberly, we'll start with you.
I can start, sure. No, I brought a poem. It's actually called A Poem for Hope, and it was brought to our attention by a 15-year-old client of of the centers, and the words in this poem evidently really spoke to her. And so we have since then, our therapist in Murray painted on the wall in our Murray office in the lobby, so we can share those words of hope with everyone who walks through the door there. And so I would like to share that with our viewers today. It's called A Poem for Hope, and it goes, as long as we have hope, we have direction, the energy to move, and the map to move by. We have 100 alternatives, 1,000 paths, an infinity of dreams. Hopeful, we are halfway to where we want to go. Hopeless, we are lost forever. Hope is the anticipation of an event or an occurrence. Our own individual hopes are our own desires, or could be considered our wish for the future. Hope can give us a feeling of optimism when we are feeling discouraged. I don't know how to pronounce this name, but as Diogenes once said, hope is the dream of a waking man. Hope is one of the prime differences between successful people and those who can only see failure. Successful people have hope because they can clearly see their goals. People who only see failure have no hope because they see no light, they set no goals, and they see nothing accomplished. Successful people see alternatives and are willing to try different ways. People who only see failure are unable to see another way and give up easily. With hope, you're halfway to where you want to go. By setting your goals and taking the action to achieve them, you will see your hope turn into your reality.
Wow.
So I know that was a long poem, but I think there's a lot of good messages in that poem and those words of hope to share with other people.
So, you had mentioned at the beginning that you're the family advocate. So you're helping families in probably one of the most tragic times initially in their lives. And so how do you see that reality played out in terms of those that come in with no hope versus when they start getting that momentum of hope? How does that change them? How does that affect them?
Well, I just thought of this. One of our, I had an email the other day from a mom in the situation, just share a little bit. A young woman who was assaulted and has just now decided to go through the legal process, and at first they weren't taking her very seriously, and so since then they've picked back up her case and the prosecutors are reviewing it, and we went and met with the prosecutor, and she was able to share what she needed to with that prosecutor, and I got an email the other day from the mom just saying thank you, that she was doing better than she had in a very long time. And so that brings me hope that just, that one meeting and us believing, saying, we'll go do this with you, gave that family hope.
Yeah, just believing her. Thank you very much. We'll come back to, I'm sure, other stories, but I appreciate you giving that to us, and even more so for the client for looking for hope enough to bring it to the staff. So, LeAnne, you're one of our therapists and our self-defense instructor. You've been with the center a long time, so you've had the opportunity to see a variety of tragic things and a variety of wonderful, hopeful things. What brings you hope this season?
There are many different things, and I can speak to the case that Amberly was talking about, because I had been working with that client, and it took her several years to come forward to be able to even notify law enforcement about what had happened. So seeing people like her come in who are unsure of how to handle what they've been through, but then seeing the hope that they have to find that direction and following through with what they want to do, that really brings a lot of hope for me for the next person that then comes in, as well as the self-defense class. People come in to learn a little bit about how to protect themselves, but they become very empowered and see that they have the ability to protect themselves and that they are capable to do those things. So that program in itself brings me a lot of hope to be able to reach a wide spectrum of teenagers to I think the oldest person in our class was 82.
Wow.
I think. So. Yeah.
So to be able to offer a sense of empowerment, what about that brings you hope? Empowerment to me is a strong word, but if you've never experienced it, it may be difficult for a viewer to understand what you mean. What does it mean to be empowered, and why is that important?
I think when a lot of the people come into that class, they don't have any idea how to protect themselves. One of the worries is, somebody may grab them, somebody may try to assault them, that they may have to receive our services in another way. And when they leave that class, they know that no one has the right to do anything to them, and that they can stop that from happening. And I tell them when they come through the class, I would much rather see you in this aspect than for you to, feel that something, or to come in after something has happened. So they feel like they have control over that then, that they can make that difference, and hopefully stop something from happening.
So for those viewers that may be watching that perhaps they did not have the gift of being empowered prior, you also sit across from clients who come to you to look for hope to be given or instilled or empowerment in a different way. Share with me what that journey has been like for you or for the clients in terms of hope. What do you take with you this season as you hear story after story?
Every story is different, and every story gives you a different feeling of hope. Some of them come in and they feel helpless, that something has happened to them, and don't know how to move forward. So as we work together in a clinical setting and really provide those tools to help them move forward, when they see that change of, okay, this has happened, but now I'm doing something about it, it gives them that power to really make that change in their life, and that really helps me as a therapist to be able to go on to that next client who maybe isn't at that point yet, and really see that they can too make those changes.
Absolutely. Thank you for all that you also do at the center. Taylor, you said, you're an intern. This has been a whirlwind, I think, of an experience. What gives you hope this holiday season? How will your sense of hope be different than prior to coming to work with us?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot different. My view of hope has changed a lot over the course of this semester, and I think I started this semester as an intern, as a college student, thinking, okay, I just need to get this job done to graduate in December, need my degree, I need to do this the next step just to get to where I'm going. And quickly I realized that that wasn't the case. I think I learned a lot more than I put in, than I bargained for, really, I thought that I would ever learn. And I think that, I don't know, just a quote that kind of came to mind is like, knowledge is power. And you had mentioned empowerment, which is, because I was going to talk about that too. I think that my knowledge this semester of PASAC and the cause that we serve has really empowered me to see I can make a difference. I've learned so much, and that has really given me a sense of power inside and empowered me to see even though I'm one person, I can make a difference. Whether it means, I've learned a lot about prevention methods, I've learned a lot about advocacy, going to court, and how the court process works. I've learned some self-defense moves from LeAnne, and I've learned a lot from the clinical staff as well. And I think all of that together has shown me, I've even learned as a volunteer, being a volunteer, that Lynn has trained me, that there's so many different things I didn't even know existed. I didn't even know anything about victims of sexual assault before I started, but learning all this information really has given me a sense of empowerment to see, okay, I can do something about it, and it's given me hope for the future, because that doesn't end this semester. I'm going to graduate in next Saturday and walk across the stage. And I'm really happy about that, but at the same time, I think it's going to go on for the rest of my life because I have the knowledge now. And I think Barbara said a quote the last segment that said, hope is making dreams a reality. It's like, how do you make dream a reality? I think it's, I have the knowledge too. I have the knowledge about, statistics about sexual assault victims, how common it is. I've been to the hospital and on a hospital call and seen victims firsthand. And I think seeing the knowledge and applying it this semester as an intern has shown me there's so much hope for the future. I'm just one person. I think even sharing that for other people, sharing the knowledge with other people can give them hope for the future and give victims hope. that's kind of my little definition of that.
Well, it's very well said, and we certainly are going to miss the interns and the energy and the passion with which you speak.
I'll miss it too.
You had said, actually, you were a guest on a previous program, and so I'd like to use some of your words to close out this segment, and it will unfortunately put these two on the spot, but I think they're up for the challenge.
Thanks, Hannah.
No problem.
You're leaving, right? You don't care. One of the things that you said in the previous program, you categorized the advocacy work, the work as a volunteer, as life on life, lifing it out, life with a life. I'd like to ask you, Amberly, and then LeAnne, and then let you close. What does it mean to you every day when you come in? Because, you know, we have jobs like everybody else. There's paperwork to do, there's a time clock to punch, there's all those things that we get wrapped up in. But this particular job, you have an incredible opportunity to be life on life. What does it mean to you as an advocate to merge your life with the life of someone else?
Well, just this week I was in trial all week with a 6-year-old little girl, and I have a 6-year-old little girl. She was hurt when she was 4, and we sat and we colored, and we read books, and we played cards, and we did things like that. And her, at the end of all of it, her parents were like, "I don't know how you do this. I don't know how you sit there and do this all day." And I was like, well, it's not about me. It's about you guys, and it's about this little girl. And in the end, she wrote me a note that said, "I love you, Amberly." And it was just really sweet and touching for me. And I just thought, it's not about me. And, this could happen to me just as easily as it could happen to these people. And it just makes me thankful, to be where I am today, and to be able to be there for people when they're in need, because I would only hope that somebody would be there for me.
Thank you. LeAnne, what does it mean to be life on life for you?
It shows that this isn't just a job. This is a I'm pregnant. This isn't fair.
Actually, you can know up front, the last segment cried as well. So viewers are okay with it, I believe, at this point.
It's more of a passion. It's more of a, when people come in, you really take it to heart. Dang it, Taylor, you are leaving. That's not fair. You do. You take it personally. I know that previously when I was the advocate and we would go to court, I remember feeling this, we've got to do something about it, because it wasn't just, this is a client, this is somebody coming in. This was a case that we were involved in, and we want to make sure that something happens and that justice is served and this client gets what they need, and that they're okay. They see us not as a therapist or an advocate. They see us as Amberly and LeAnne, and they see us as whoever it is that they're coming in to see, and they call back, "Guess what I'm doing now? You're not going to believe this," or they drop by, and those types of things. So it really, it's a passion. It's what we strive to do, is to make sure that these people are okay that come in, and they do really see that.
Thank you. I think you're exactly right. And Taylor, very quickly, we're short on time, since you were the author of Life on Life. What would you say to viewers that their responsibility to be life on life this season?
I think they summed it up really well. But I think just not only viewing clients, that come into our center as real people, but I guess to viewers, every person you come in contact with is not just a face. They have a soul. They have a life. They deserve to be treated the way that we want to be treated ourselves. And so I think that we can view everyone like that this holiday season.
Thank you. Thank you to each of you. Please stay with us. We still have a little bit more in the Season of Hope program. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the Rays of Hope program, brought to you by the Purchase Area Sexual Assault and Child Advocacy Center. It is the time of year when we reflect on the season of hope, and we hear from the staff firsthand about what hope has looked like for them throughout the year. So thank you for joining us. And with us for the last segment of the program, we have the remainder of the clinical team. So we have Teresa, Kelli, and Lori. So welcome to the three of you. I'm going to let you just introduce yourself and tell your position at the center. So we'll just start with you, Lori.
I'm Lori Brown, and I'm the Director of Clinical Services, and I oversee all of the direct client services at the center. I also work as a therapist, and I supervise the other therapists and provide forensic interviews and assist our physician with specialized child sexual abuse exams, and then also provide specialized training to area professionals.
So a little busy.
A little busy.
Kelli?
I'm Kelli Morrow. I am a therapist. I work in Paducah, and I also man the Murray office.
And you do a very good job out in Murray, one of our satellite offices. You operate that pretty much on your own. So thank you for being here, Teresa.
And I am a therapist that works here in our Paducah office, and I also am our yoga instructor and teach yoga to our clients.
And so you teach a very specific type of yoga, so just briefly elaborate on what does trauma-sensitive yoga mean?
It is the way we go about teaching yoga to our clients and getting people back to being aware of what's happening inside of their body, and just really showing people that they have the tools inside of them, the resources inside of them to be able to manage dealing with the symptoms of trauma that they present with. And what makes trauma-sensitive yoga different from maybe a regular yoga class that you would go to is the knowledge of the effects of trauma and the language that is used. It's really empowering and giving people or showing people that they have control over their bodies.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. So you all just each segment has brought a sort of a different focus or a different area of expertise. And so you, as the clinical staff, minus LeAnne, she was on the previous segment, but you all see firsthand those symptoms that you're talking about. And so when you're sitting there and you're dealing with that in a very direct way, what brings you hope is where I'd like for you to begin. So it doesn't matter who goes first, but what brings you hope this holiday season? Do you want to start with you, Lori?
Sure. You know, Mary, I really find hope in the work that we do every day. There really is an honor and a privilege in working with the clients that we work with. We're really fortunate to be able, day in and day out, to really see human resiliency in its strongest form. You know, we work with victims who have been hurt in really the most unimaginable, worst ways possible at the hands of other people, often people who should be caring and protecting them. And so the people that we work with really are in a lot of pain and suffering, you know, when they come in for services. And for us to be able to help them in some way, to help them find the resources that they need within themselves and the support that they need outside of themselves, to really embark along that journey of healing, if you will, and begin that road to recovery. Really is so hopeful. And I brought a tile today, and this is a tile that was created by a young woman that I've worked with this past year. And this tile is actually going to be part of a project that we've recently started at the center, and we're very excited because it's actually going to go up this week. It's going to be part of a Circle of Hope project that will be in the lobby at the center, and it'll be a large mosaic where we offer the opportunity for those clients who have found the courage and the strength to speak out by reporting their victimization to law enforcement, and or also who have found that courage to go through that journey of therapy and completed that process of therapy. And the staff talked about this, and we came up with this idea really as a way to honor those victims. It does take a great deal of strength and courage, one, just to speak out, but then also to follow through with the things that they need to follow through with. And so we offer that opportunity for clients who want to participate and ask them to create a tile with a message that they can leave behind for those people who are coming into the center as new clients. And so we've been collecting tiles over the last several months, and they're actually going to start going up on the wall this week. And this particular tile was created by a young woman, like I said, that I worked with, who was hurt at the hand of someone that she should have been able to trust. And as she finished up therapy and she was thinking about her message for the tile, what she came up with was "Find your strength." And I can't even express the hope that I got in watching the transformation in this young woman. From the time that she first came in, she was initially very passive. She had really been hurt. She was really struggling. And over just a few months, to watch the transformation in her, to watch her be able to find that strength within herself and what she needed to really begin to heal and to move forward. So,
wow, thank you. And I'm very excited to see the circle of hope. So thank
we all
you.
are.
Kelli, what about you? What brings you hope?
Well, when I was out shopping for some Christmas ornaments, I found this ornament, and I thought this really spoke to me as far as what I do and the work I do with clients. So it has a quote on it that I'd like to share. It says, "Whether a glorious revelation or a gradual glimmer, the inner belief that there are meaning and purpose to be found in life's tribulations, that peace and fulfillment are possibilities, and that something positive awaits as a result of one's prayers and perseverance." And I really thought this spoke to me and what I do, because I do get the message a lot of time from people like, how do you do this? This work is so hard. How can you do it every day? They always tell me they're glad that I do, but they just don't understand how I can do it. And I think just being able to see people change and grow and find that hope inside of them to move forward from something that's happened to them is what keeps me going.
Well, I love the part of the quote that says a glorious revelation, or maybe it says a small glimmer.
Or a gradual glimmer.
Gradual glimmer. I mean, whether hope comes to you in a flood or just for some, just the tiniest bit of hope gets them to the next day or the next session. And I love the way that's worded. And so when you're sitting with a client, Kelli, and you're hearing their stories, what is it like when you see that flood or when you see that glimmer? What is that like to experience that firsthand?
I think a lot of times when people come in the very first time, it's so difficult because most of them haven't been in therapy before, and I always really applaud them and make them realize how big of a deal it is that they've made it that first time. And I remind them that this is the hardest time to come in because you're putting yourself out there and you're taking that leap that, okay, something good can come from this. Right. So I see it just start out with that little bit of a glimmer that, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to see where it can go, and to see them transform, as they go along and go through that process of therapy is really amazing.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing a bit of that with us today. Teresa, you've been with the center a while, and you've been, I guess you're our senior therapist in terms of seniority and how long you've been doing this work. What brings you hope?
I've had the opportunity to hear lots of people speak about hope today and what brings them hope, and to me that's part of it, is being able to work with such loving and caring people really is tremendous, and I feel very lucky to be able to have that. And then also listening to Kelli talk about why we do this work, and people saying to you or to me, how do you do that? And we see people in pain, in great amount of pain, and sometimes that's very difficult. And I remind myself that with that pain, there's also joy, and there's also strength. And I think that's what gives me hope, is to be able to be that person, to be able to sit with that person in some of the darkest times of their life, but also when that darkness lifts and there's light. Wow. And so that's very powerful for me. And so I came across a prayer. It's the St. Francis Assisi prayer that I just keep in mind a lot of times when I'm working with clients, especially when we're in that darkness and in that pain, moving to the light. And so I just wanted to share that.
Sure, please.
Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life.
Wow, it's beautiful. And I think one of the things that brings me hope to be at the center and to be with staff like you and like those that went on the segments before you is that I can say of this group that there truly is a congruency. You say what you believe and you life out what you believe. And I've heard this particular team say at times that you serve as a container, if you will, for people's pain, that you carry that pain with them. You sort through it with them, you look at it with them, and I started to think about that for this program today and specifically for this segment and to think about when you have something really heavy to carry, you can crumble or feel like you're going to crumble under the weight of that. But when you have somebody to come along and help lift that load or hold that load or bear part of that load, you do feel like there is hope that you can go on. And that is really what you all do day in and day out. And so I would just want to thank you for what you do on behalf of clients and helping them carry that load. So in closing today, I'd like, if you would, just each of you, just to sum up very briefly, one message of hope for the viewer that may be watching. Lori, what would you say to the viewers this holiday season?
I would say that if there's someone out there who may be experiencing some of the pain and suffering that we're talking about, that there is hope, and that our center and there are other providers out there as well who may be able to help them find that glimmer, that Kelli mentioned. And like you said, Mary, it does start with a glimmer sometimes, but then it can grow. And so I would just encourage them to be able to reach out and make that connection if they need to do that.
Thank you. Kelli?
I've been thinking a lot about the hope over the past few weeks because the holidays are coming up. And one thing that I would share with everybody is that everybody's searching for something inside of themselves, and that, if you look and you continue to pursue that, I think everybody can find that and find that peace inside of them.
Thank you. Briefly, Teresa, for you, what would you say?
Just being present with whoever you are with, whether it's somebody who is going through something very dark or facing some sort of other battle in their life, just being present with that relationship.
And thank you so much for joining us for our program of hope, and from our family to yours, we wish you hope this holiday season.